The man who turned pop culture dialogue into high art doesn't do slow breakups or polite distance. When someone crosses that invisible line on his set, they don't just get fired, they vanish from his cinematic universe altogether. For over 3 decades, Tarantino has ruled Hollywood as one of its most distinctive and uncompromising voices. He isn't just a director, he's an architect of controlled chaos. Every word, every beat, every frame of film is his kingdom, and if you step out of rhythm, you're gone. He's been called obsessive, brilliant, revolutionary, and impossible to please. But in Tarantino's world, loyalty is sacred and betrayal is cinematic. From Reservoir Dogs to Pulp Fiction, from Kill Bill to Inglourious Bastard, his films bleed attitude and authorship. The actors who thrive in his world, Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson, Christoph Waltz, Brad Pitt, seem to sync with his pulse completely. But others? They burn bright for a moment and were erased just as fast. Here are 6 actors Quentin Tarantino locked out of his cinematic world, and the shocking reasons why he never looked back. That if this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. 1. The veteran tough guy who nearly tore apart the set, Lawrence Tierney. When Tarantino cast Lawrence Tierney in Reservoir Dogs, it seemed like inspired genius. Tierney was a real-life tough guy, a grizzled relic from the noir era whose presence screamed danger. He was perfect for the role of Joe Cabot, the veteran mob boss orchestrating a diamond heist that goes disastrously wrong. But the danger Tierney brought to the screen didn't stay on screen. According to cast and crew, Tierney's behavior was so volatile that every day on set felt like walking through a minefield. He forgot lines, picked fights, and exploded over trivial issues. The tension boiled over when he and Tarantino clashed during a blocking rehearsal. Voices rose, tempers flared. The confrontation ended with Tarantino storming off and then firing Tierney on the spot. Later, Tarantino described the experience as like dealing with your senile uncle off his meds. It wasn't an exaggeration. Michael Madsen later admitted that Tierney's erratic mood changed the entire energy of the production. For Tarantino, Reservoir Dogs was his debut, his shot at proving he could command a set. He couldn't afford chaos. Firing Tierney wasn't just about control, it was about self-preservation. When the film became a cult classic, Tarantino celebrated everyone's performance, except Tierney's. He never mentioned him in retrospectives or interviews again. No cameos, no second chances. Tierney had crossed the line. Tarantino draws not in sand, but in concrete. And once you're on the wrong side of that concrete, you stay there. 2. The blockbuster star who couldn't follow the script, Bruce Willis. Pulp Fiction wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural earthquake that resurrected John Travolta's career, catapulted Samuel L. Jackson to superstardom, and proved that indie cinema could take over the world. For Bruce Willis, it was supposed to be a redemption arc. After a string of flops, Hudson Hawk, Color of Night, Striking Distance, Pulp Fiction offered him a gritty, stripped-down comeback, but behind the camera, things weren't as smooth as they seemed. Tarantino's directing style is notorious. He treats his scripts like sacred scripture. Every comma, every pause, every cuss word matters. Actors are expected to deliver his dialogue verbatim. No ad-libs, no movie star swagger. Willis, accustomed to calling shots and improvising, brought both. He was Hollywood royalty. Tarantino was the fiercely protective auteur. Their energies clashed. Crew members recalled the tension as palpable. Tarantino admired Willis's talent, but found him too self-aware, too conscious of his image. He wanted actors who disappeared into characters. Willis played himself. While other Pulp Fiction cast members became lifelong Tarantino regulars, Willis's collaboration ended there. In later interviews, Tarantino would praise the ensemble, but somehow his compliments always seemed to orbit around Bruce's name, never landing on it. Willis, ever professional, never badmouthed Tarantino, but he also never credited Pulp Fiction as a career-saving film, a silence that spoke louder than words. In Tarantino's world, loyalty earns you legacy. Step out of rhythm and you're gone. Bruce Willis lit up one masterpiece, then disappeared from the Tarantino canon as if he'd never been there. 3. The leading man who didn't charm the director, George Clooney. On paper, George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino should have been allies. Clooney was the rising star transitioning from television heartthrob to film icon. Tarantino was the maverick reshaping genre cinema. Their 1996 collaboration on From Dusk Till Dawn, written by Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez, gave both men a cult hit, but their creative chemistry fizzled fast. Years later, Tarantino dismissed Clooney's star power in a blunt interview. George Clooney is not a movie star. No sarcasm, no softening, just a shot straight across the bow. He went further, challenging anyone to name a truly great Clooney film after the year 2000. Clooney didn't ignore it. He publicly fired back, defending his work on Syriana, Michael Clayton, and Ocean's 11, films that had earned him Oscars and box office gold. But the damage was done. To Tarantino, Clooney embodied everything he rebelled against: Hollywood polish, PR charm, and controlled performances built around likability. Tarantino's world thrives on risk, rawness, and edge. Clooney to him was safe. After From Dusk Till Dawn, there were no calls, no cameos, no collaborations. For a director who treats his favorite actors like repertory players, that silence was deafening. Clooney's career flourished. He directed, produced, and won Academy Awards. Tarantino moved on, never mentioning him again. In Hollywood. Grudges often come with second chances. In Tarantino's realm, being dismissed is worse than being denounced. It's being edited out of the final cut. For the filmmaker who fought back, Spike Lee, this one wasn't just a creative clash. It was a full-blown cultural war. When Jackie Brown hit theaters in 1997, Spike Lee called out Tarantino for what he saw as gratuitous use of racial slurs, especially the N-word. "I'm not against the word," Lee said. "I use it myself." But Quentin is infatuated with it. What does he want? To be made an honorary black man? It wasn't a side comment. It was a public challenge to Tarantino's artistic license. Tarantino, never one to back down, responded in kind. If Spike Lee can't appreciate Jackie Brown, then I'm sorry for him. He has no right to tell any other artist what they can or cannot say. Then came the infamous line, "Spike needs to shut the F*** up." From that moment, reconciliation was impossible. When Django Unchained premiered years later, Lee refused to see it, calling it disrespectful to my ancestors. Tarantino dismissed him again. I think his problem is that I'm doing it better than he is. He's mad because I'm making the black movies he wishes he could make. That wasn't criticism. That was war. No apologies ever followed. No professional overlap. Two titans of cinema, both vocal, both visionary, chose separate kingdoms. That Tarantino's films continued to explore race, violence, and vengeance through his singular, stylized lens. Lee kept confronting those same topics through realism and history. Their feud became symbolic, not just about a word, but about who gets to tell which stories. To this day, they haven't shared a panel, a project, or a public compliment. The silence between them is louder than any argument. 5. The loyal friend who faded away, Steve Buscemi. Steve Buscemi helped Tarantino make history as Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs. Buscemi delivered one of the most iconic monologues in indie film history. His rant about refusing to tip waitresses became instantly legendary. Off camera, though, something quietly fractured. After Reservoir Dogs, fans expected Buscemi to become a Tarantino regular. Yet, while Michael Madsen, Tim Roth, and Harvey Keitel kept popping up in Tarantino's later work, Buscemi never returned. Why? No official story exists, but whispers from crew members painted a picture of personal friction. Some claimed the tipping rant was inspired by a real-life debate between Buscemi and Tarantino on set, a playful disagreement that supposedly turned sour. Others suggest scheduling conflicts or diverging career paths. Whatever the truth, the result was the same: silence. When asked in interviews why Buscemi hadn't reappeared, Tarantino shrugged. Sometimes people get one shot. Cold, final, and very Tarantino. Buscemi never complained. He went on to build an extraordinary career: Fargo, Boardwalk Empire, The Sopranos. But fans still wonder why Tarantino never found another role for him. For a director famous for loyalty, the absence was conspicuous. Buscemi later said softly in an interview, "I haven't heard from Quentin in a long time, but I wish him well. No drama, no bitterness, just distance." In Tarantino's universe, some relationships end with explosions. Others just fade quietly into cinematic memory. 6. The Hollywood icon who tried to direct the director, Warren Beatty. Few actors ever got as close to playing a Tarantino legend as Warren Beatty. Before Kill Bill became a cult phenomenon, Tarantino wrote the role of Bill with Beatty in mind, the aging gunslinger, lover, and philosophical villain opposite Uma Thurman's bride. It could have been monumental, an old Hollywood legend reborn through Tarantino's ultra-violent poetry. But it never happened. During early meetings, Beatty admired the script, but wanted input, creative tweaks, tonal shifts, even camera suggestions. Tarantino, fiercely protective of his vision, bristled immediately. Beatty was a director himself, used to control. But Tarantino's sets are monarchies, not democracies. David Carradine, who ultimately played Bill, later recalled, "Warren was trying to direct the director. Quentin doesn't play that." The collaboration ended quietly. Beatty walked away, and Tarantino never spoke of it in detail. When asked why the casting changed, Tarantino simply said, "It wasn't going to work. I needed someone who understood it wasn't their story." That single sentence revealed everything. For Tarantino, control isn't negotiable. Every actor, no matter how legendary, must surrender to his rhythm. Beatty couldn't, and that was that. Carradine stepped in and made cinematic history. Beatty, one of the great Hollywood power players, never crossed paths with Tarantino again. No feuds, no insults, just silence, the kind of finality that in Tarantino's world is absolute. Conclusion: the law of Tarantino. Across 3 decades and 9 films, Quentin Tarantino has built not just a filmography, but a mythology, one where loyalty is rewarded with immortality and rebellion is punished with erasure. To work with him is to enter a world of extreme precision and extreme personality. He writes with rhythm, directs with dominance, and edits with vengeance. His movies feel alive because everyone in them is dancing to the same beat, his beat. Step out of sync, and no matter how famous you are, the music stops. Lawrence Tierney's temper, Bruce Willis's independence, George Clooney's polish, Spike Lee's outrage, Steve Buscemi's quiet distance, Warren Beatty's ego. Each story ends the same way: silence. Tarantino doesn't rewrite broken relationships, he erases them. That's the price of working for a man who treats film like religion and loyalty like scripture, and maybe that's why his cinematic universe feels so cohesive, so charged with personal conviction, because every frame belongs entirely to him. So, the next time you watch a Tarantino film, pay attention to who's on screen and who isn't. Every absence has a story, and every exile has a reason. If you think there's another actor who earned a permanent spot on Tarantino's blacklist, drop the name below. Because in this director's world, once you're cut from the script, you're gone for good.